and has agreed to come despite having the unenviable task of not being able to roll out many details of our joint session speech or the American Families Plan, but we still wanted to have him here to provide some context on some of the questions you all had raised.
So I wanted to just provide a little bit of context around, in particular, capital gains taxes. And we'll provide just a little bit of context, and I'm happy to take a couple of questions. So, plan to invest in American families. And one element of this reform will be to change how we tax capital gains. As you all know, that's income from selling stocks and other assets. So I want to start by reinforcing who this change will actually affect. This change will affect taxpayers, which is not the top 1%. This makes sense because for the typical Americans, most of their income comes from wages. But for those making more than $1 million, for the top 0.3%, it's the opposite. About 30% of their wages come from wages. And that's probably actually an understatement, since the wealthiest can often strategically avoid reporting this type of income entirely. They have only paid about 20% of their reported income in taxes. Those are people making over $60 million a year. They have only paid about 20% of their reported income in taxes. So their tax rate, which probably is overstated, again, because this is the category that often doesn't report or underreports income. Their tax rate is lower than many middle-class families' tax rate. And that's why the reforms that the president will lay out are focused on this top sliver of people. And we believe that it's not only fair reform, and of course we will be raising to higher rates than in that reform. The principle is the same. It comes from pension funds.
We're screaming that it is not a good proposal. There's even some concerns in Democratic circles. Like, how do you convince people that this makes sense?
This sort of change for that top 0.3% of taxpayers is the president has said in the context of the jobs plan and the corporate tax reform plan, and will say in the context of this plan as well, he is laying out his jobs plan and his family's plan. This is his vision for how we need to put in place a public investment agenda for the country.